Sharp is going to be yeah, the first version of the C Sharp is going to be 1.0, and the latest version, which was launched in November 10, 2020, it is going to be C Sharp 9. C Sharp 9. C Sharp 9 is the latest version of this one. Okay, guys. Okay, that is the latest version. What we just have 9.0 is the latest version of the .NET what we just have. Okay. Now, history of the language. History of the language. Actually, guys, what happened is, see, basically, first, mainly, Microsoft. What happened here is, see, when you're developing a language, when they're developing the language, every language requires libraries, guys. Every language requires libraries. So what did they do to develop the libraries? See, C language has libraries, C++ has libraries, every language has libraries. So first, when Microsoft was developing .NET, what they have done, to develop the libraries, they have designed a language. To develop the libraries, they have designed a language. What is that? Simple Managed C. Simple Managed C. The other name is SMC. And this language is designed only for developing the libraries, that's all. This language was designed only for developing the libraries. Only for library development only this language was designed. So later what happened? In 1999, Anders Hejlsberg already said you are the designer of the language. He has formed a team, guys. He has formed a team to build a language called COOL. To build a language called as COOL, which stands for what? C-like object-oriented language. That's nothing but a C, C++, C Sharp. But initially what they thought is they thought of designing a language called COOL. Okay? And basically they thought of language COOL, but for trademark reasons, they changed the name to C Sharp. So what is the initial name, COOL, but later changed to C Sharp. But later what they done, the SMC language, the COOL language, what Microsoft has thought, the SMC language, COOL language, all these things are combined up together and the C Sharp language came into existence. So C Sharp is a combination of SMC language and the COOL language. So both these two are combined up together now, and finally they just made a single language called as C Sharp. So this is the history of the language. And who designed it? Anders Hejlsberg. Okay. And see the greatness of the person, guys. See the greatness of the person. Tell me a point, answer a question. Today, is application development is an easy task for you? Today, is application development an easy task for you? No. Why? Because you don't know fundamentals of application development. Because you don't know the fundamentals of an application development is not going to be an easy task for you. So application development is not going to be an easy task for you. If at all you want to build an application, you're required to learn a lot of things. Okay. Now, after completing the course, guys, if at all I ask you this question, after completing the course, if I ask this question, is application development easier? What's your answer? Sorry, guys. Then also the answer is no only. No. Then we are learning .NET. No. Why no, sir? What you are? What are thinking? See, what are thinking? Once you complete your course, you will be an expert in application development. What this is, today you don't know what is an application development, but by end of the course, you'll understand what is application development. That's all. Today you don't know what is application development. By end of the course, you'll be understanding what is application development. Okay? And after that, you start working in a company, minimum at least 5 to 6 years if you work, 5 to 6 years if you work. After working minimum for 5 to 6 years, then you will be getting an idea how to develop applications. Then you can say application development is going to be easier. Until then, you cannot use that word application development is going to be an easy task. I hope you understood what I'm telling you. But guys, see the greatness of this person. See the greatness of the person. Not one language or two language, guys. Totally 6 languages in the industry he has designed till now. Sorry, totally 4 languages he has designed in the industry. 4 languages. What are the 4? Turbo Pascal, Borland LP, Visual J++, and C Sharp. The one and only one in the industry who has designed these many number of languages till now. The one and only one who has designed these many number of languages till now. Are you guys clear? The one and only one who designed these many number of languages till now. So he has designed 4 languages totally. See guys, we don't know what is an application development only. If I ask you, can you build a programming language? You don't know what is an application development. If I ask you a question, can you build a programming language? Building a programming language is a rocket science to us. Building a programming language is a rocket science to us today. Am I right? But this particular person has designed 4 languages totally in the industry till now. Turbo Pascal, Borland LP, Visual J++, and the 4th language is going to be the C Sharp language. So this is how the language came into existence. Someone asked in interview, guys. Someone asked in interview, what is that? Are so many languages are there now? Need of a new language again? There are so many languages in the market. What is the need of a new language again? Why a new language is required again? Why did you design a new language again? So what is the answer is? The flaws or the mistakes or the limitations in the old languages have led me to design a new language. The flaws or the mistakes in the old languages has led me to design a new language. That's what exactly he has just answered in the interview. So why did you design a new language, miss? The flaws in the existing languages made me to design the new language. Okay, so this is the history of the language. So what is the initial name here? Initially they thought of naming the language as Cool, but later for a trademark reason the name was changed to C Sharp. And his SMC also was combined up with the Cool, and finally the C Sharp came into picture. So this is the history of the language. Next, design goals. Design goals of the language. What are design goals of the language? Design goals in the sense something like some key features of the language, guys. Design goals in the sense some key features of the language. You can understand design goals are nothing but key features of the language. Like if at all you understand about the key features of the language here. So if at all you just understand about the key features of the language, according to the ECMA standards, these are the design goals of the language. What are the design goals? First one. The language is intended to be simple, modern, general purpose, and object oriented. The language is intended to be simple. Simple in the sense ease of use. Modern, latest. General purpose. General purpose means which can be used for developing any type of application. You know one thing? You take COBOL. COBOL can be used only for business application development. Pascal can be used only for scientific application development. Fortran can be used only for mathematical application development. But general purpose means which can be used for building any kind of application. And it should be object oriented. So the language should be simple, modern, should be a general purpose, and also should be a object oriented language. This is the first design goal of the language. Second, the language and implementation there should provide support for software engineering principles such as strong code type checking. What is strong type checking? Nothing special, guys. You have strong type checking. in your C language also. Guys, answer this question. Can I do this? Int I is equals to 100. Can I do this, guys? Is invalid na? Is wrong na? Or someone is telling yes. So Shubham, Srikant, wrong. Jagan Mohan, this is wrong here. You cannot do. You cannot do this. Why wrong? Because the value is present in the double quotes. This is what we call as type checking. This is what you call as type checking. So C language also has type checking here. C++ also has type checking. Java also has type checking. Even C# also has type checking. It should have a strong type checking. Array bound checking. What is array bound checking? What is array bound checking? Guys, answer this question. All of you, carefully listen to me. I'm writing a program in C language. I'm writing a program in C language. I'm declaring an integer array. Int ARR is equals to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 are the values. Okay, are the values. How many values are there? 9 values are there. Now I am writing a loop for int I is equals to 0, I less than or equal to 9, I plus plus. I plus plus, and then I'm writing printf percentile d, comma, arr5. Guys, have a look on this code. How many values are present in this array? 9 values. But look at the loop, guys. The loop is executing for how many times? 10 times. The loop is executing for 10 times. Now, 9 times it will print you the 9 values. 10th time, what will happen? 10th time, what will happen? Will I get any error or will it print me a garbage value? What will happen the 10th time? 10th time when the loop run, will I get an error or is it going to print me any garbage value? What is going to happen? Error, out of bound condition, exception, condition false, out of bound, termination. All are wrong. Everyone is wrong. Everyone is wrong. 10th time, it will print you a garbage value. 10th time, it will print you a garbage value. That is C language here. I talked about C language. In C language, if you write this program, 10th time, it will print you a garbage value. Really? Yes, it will. It will print you a garbage value. Because C language doesn't have array bound checking. C language doesn't have array bound checking. There's a drawback in the C language. You don't have array bound checking. But C# has array bound checking. If you write the same code in C#, when the loops runs for the 10th time, you get an error. You get an error 10th time. But in C, you don't get an error. Did you understand, guys? So C doesn't have array bound checking, but C# has array bound checking. Okay, that's what we call as array bound checking, guys. Why 10th time condition will be false? I less than or equal to 9. You started from 0. When you start from 0, the loop will be running from 0 to 9. 0 to 9 means 10 times, na? Rajat, it is less than or equal to 9. Means 0 to 9. 0 to 9 means 10 times only, na? Rajat, are you clear? Okay. Next, detection of attempts to use uninitialized variables. We find this in every language here. Every language has this particular feature. What is that? Detection of attempts to use uninitialized variables. If you are trying to use any uninitialized variable, you will be getting warnings. If you try to use any uninitialized variable, you will be getting errors and warnings, guys. That is a detection of attempt to use uninitialized variable. In every language you have. And other one, automatic garbage collection. So last class we learned about this one. Last class, we learnt about this one, automatic garbage collection. And I said to you, I'm only theoretically telling you, I will practically demonstrate what is garbage collection once we go into programming. Are you clear, guys? First thing, strong type checking. Second thing, array bound checking. Third one, detection of attempts to use uninitialized variable and automatic garbage collection. Support for internationalization is very important. Support for internationalization is very important. What is support for internationalization? What is support for internationalization? Here, guys, you're required to understand. Yeah, guys. Internationalization means no, not about that, not about ISOs and all. Internationalization means here we require to understand about two different things called as globalization and localization. Support for internationalization means globalization and localization. What is globalization? Globalization means it is a process of developing an application neutral of a language. Globalization means it is the process of developing an application neutral of a language. And then what is localization? Localization means translating a globalized application to a particular language. For example, guys, I'm opening Facebook. It opened in English. But even though it opened in English, do you have options to choose your languages in the bottom? Do you have options to choose your languages in the bottom now? Can I view the application in Hindi? Can I view the application in Hindi? See now, when I click on Hindi, my output of the application is in Hindi. I say Telugu, my output is going to be in Telugu. I'll say Marathi, the output is in Marathi. So like this, whatever language you select, this is what we call as globalization. Developing an application neutral of a language is called globalization. Then what is localization? Localization means, see, when I select Telugu, my application is translated to Telugu language now, right? My application is translated to Telugu language now, right or not? This is basically what we call as localization. This is called as localization. Means translating a globalized application. Translating a globalized application to a particular language is what we call as localization. Okay? Translating a globalized application to a particular language is what we call as localization. Globalization means building an application neutral of a language. Localization means translating the application to a particular language. So combination of both these two things is what we generally call as internationalization. So it's a combination of globalization and localization. Did you understand, guys? We will learn how to build these type of applications when we go for learning ASP.NET. In ASP.NET classes, I will be just teaching you how to build these type of applications actually. Both Saroj Kumar. Globalization means developing an application neutral of a language. It is neutral of a language. See now, the application is neutral of a language. I can just choose a language of my choice and it is just going to be neutral. This is called neutral of a language. Yeah, this course is both C# and ASP, not C#.NET. This course is both a combination of C# and ASP. Okay, so guys, observe this one. Observe. So what I'm just telling you is, if you just watch out, this is called globalization. neutral of a language. Localization means you select a language, the application is translated. You select a language, the application is translated to a particular language. This is called as localization. So combination of both the two things together is what we call as internationalization. Am I clear, guys? Okay, fine. So next, there is a support for internationalization. Next, the language is intended for use in developing software components suitable for deployment in distributed environments. Means distributed application development. The language should provide a support for distributed application development. Distributed applications means we also call them as a three-tier applications. Distributed applications means we also call them as a three-tier applications. Like you take ATM machines here, these are distributed applications. If you take ATM machines, they are called as a distributed applications. In the programming, I will tell you one day a case study how these ATM machines will run. When we go to programming, one day I will teach you how these ATM machines are going to run for you. Okay, there you will understand what is a distributed application. Okay, the programming classes I'll teach you what is a distributed application. Next, portability is very important for programmers, especially for those familiar with C and C++. Portability is very important for programmers, especially those already familiar with C and C++. What is this? Listen to me, guys. Even though it is hard to digest, even though even though it is hard to digest, all of us have to understand one small thing here. What is that we just required to understand is, okay, so what is that we just required to understand is, we need to accept the truth, not understand. We need to accept the truth. What is it? Software industry is uncertain. Software industry is uncertain. Uncertain in the sense, I'm not talking about up and downs in the industry. I'm not talking about up and downs in the industry. Up and downs in the sense, basically, see, in every industry, these up and downs are common here. In every industry, these up and downs are common. The only industry where you will not find up and downs is two industries here. There are only two industries where you don't have up and downs. Always the graph will go up, will never come down. One is healthcare. One is healthcare. Today, that is the most profitable industry. Second one, liquor. Second one, liquor. Apart from this industry, every industry will have up and downs. Am I right or not? Automobile industry faces so many struggles. Software industry faces so much. I'm not food industry. Food industry. Let's see. Food industry is an essential commodity, guys. Food industry is an essential commodity. Okay. So in every industry, these are going to be common. In every industry, these are going to be common. Up and downs will be very, very common in every industry. I'm not talking about up and downs. The uncertainty, what I'm telling you is, 365 days round the clock in this industry, you cannot stick to the same technology, guys. 365 days round the clock, you cannot stick to the same technology. Means you today can enter into a company as a .NET developer. You today enter into a company as a .NET developer, but after 4 or 5 years, you may be somewhere else. You may be in .NET or you may be somewhere else. These things are very common in software industry. Because what will companies do is, companies Companies basically what they will be doing is, tomorrow, you see, tomorrow if they get a project in a new technology, if they get a project in a new technology, and right now you are not associated with any project, tomorrow they got a new project with a new technology. What will they do? They will ask you to upgrade yourself. They will ask you to update yourself to the new technology and start working according to the requirements now, and then start working according to the requirement. This is very common in software industry. This is going to be very common in the software industry. Okay. See guys, I'll tell you one thing. Long back, COBOL, Pascal, Fortran, these languages are very popular. Long back, COBOL, Pascal, Fortran, these languages are very popular. And once upon a time, C, C++ languages are also popular. But today, COBOL, Pascal, Fortran are completely outdated. C, C++ languages are standing as academic languages. C, C++ basically stands as academic languages. Pure C, C++ getting an opportunity in the market is very tough, guys. Pure C++, you cannot easily get an opportunity in the market. So that's why I see in the industry, guys, there are so many people I see in the industry. What you know? These people are very well experienced, 10 to 15 years, 15 to 20 years of experience in C++ language. I see people with 10 to 15 years, not like 10 to 15 to 20 years of experience in C++ language. And all these particular people, today, if they want to change the technology, they cannot easily change the technology. Today, if they want to change the technology, they cannot easily change the technology. Why they cannot easily? Today they want to change the job, not technology. Today, if they want to change the job, it is very tough for them. Why is it very tough for them? Because there will be only less companies which will be offering the jobs on C and C++. There will be only less companies will be offering the jobs on C, C++. So what these people will do, you know, these people will be porting from one technology to another technology. Guys, these people will be porting from one technology to another technology. From one technology to another technology, these people will be porting basically. Okay. So portability is very important in software industry. Portability is very important in software industry. Guys, listen, if you're coming from a C++ background, you're very good in C++, you're already working in C++, but right now it is a high time for you to find a job in C++. The best option for you that is available in the industry is converting into C#. Generally, in my morning 7 o'clock batch, regularly, I will be coming across working employees, guys. Regularly, I'll be coming across working employees. And these working employees working in the industry for 15, 20 years in the big, who are elder than me, I see. And these particular people working on C++, C languages from the last 15, 20 years, and they want to change their jobs now. When they want to change their jobs, they don't have opportunities. They don't find good opportunities here to jump in the C++ language and all. All those people, I noticed them. What is it? They'll be coming, learning C#, and if they have 20 years of experience, 15 years they say C++, and 5 years they put C# experience, and they start trying in the market. So the C# is the best language for C, C++ developers to jump in. Did you catch my point, guys? C# is the best language for C, C++ developers to jump in. Are you guys clear? Guys, as I promised, these are the first 7 videos, the first 7 session videos. These are the first 7 session videos. If anyone has missed up any of the classes in the first, okay, or who started attending the classes from yesterday, today or something, these are the first 7 class videos. And from now, we won't give any more videos at all. From now, any more videos. Portability, people porting from one technology to another technology. Portability here means porting from one technology to another technology. People moving from one technology to another technology. That's called portability. Okay. So C++, C++ programmers, if they want to jump into, change the technology, C# will be the best option for them now. Because C# is an extension for C++. Guys, you can just copy. I just posted up all the 7 class videos. And guys, from today onwards, we don't give any more videos. From today onwards, we don't give any more videos. Okay, we are the first 7 videos. If anyone missed up the classes, you can just copy them and you can watch them. Okay. Yeah, guys, are you clear with this? Portability, changing from one technology to another technology, is very, very common. And if you are from C++ background, C# will be the best choice for you. Next. C# is intended to be suitable for writing applications for both hosted. Means you can use C# for building different kind of applications, hosted applications, embedded applications, which are going to be a very large, sophisticated, operating down to very small, having identical functions, dedicated function. Means nothing. Yeah, you can use C# for building a small application to a very complex application. You can use C# for building a small application to a mobile to a very large application like an embedded application. Everywhere you can just use. It's not like you can use only in particular area. You can just use in whatever area you want. That's the specialty of the language. Okay, and you see now, these are the versions of the language, guys. Starting from 1.0, the current latest version is 9.0, and we are learning 9.0. Okay, I'm not giving any explanation for you. For your future reference, guys, for your future reference, I listed you here, each and every feature that is added for you in each and every version. I will explain you them in our programming. I will explain you them in our programming. In the programming classes, we'll talk about all these particular things. But for your future reference, I just listed you 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, 6.0, 7.0, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 8, and 9. Supported only on .NET 5. Okay, these are the various features that are included by Microsoft for you in each and every version. See, guys, when I started teaching C# long back, in 2006, at that particular point of time, maximum 45 days, we used to complete of everything. But right now, it became an ocean. Every version, they're adding lot of features. Day by day, the size is getting increased of. In the future, how many versions will come and how many features will be added, I don't know. But they're adding you lot of features for you. We will be talking about all these particular things in our classes. Am I clear, guys? Okay. Now, let me explain you about this one. What is that? Let me explain you about this one. What this is, say, how to write a program. We'll just jump to the programming part. How to write a program. Writing a program by using different programming approaches. Guys, in the industry, there are 2 important programming approaches that are followed for developing applications. In the industry, there are two important programming approaches that are followed for developing the applications. The first one is procedural programming, and second one is object-oriented programming. What are the two? The first one is the procedural programming, and the second one is going to be the object-oriented programming. These are the two programming approaches the industry follows actually. Okay. So the first one is procedural programming. See, this is the first approach. The first approach the industry used till 70s, to build applications. This is the first approach the industry used till 70s to build applications. Okay. Can anyone tell me examples of this, examples of procedural programming? Can anyone tell me examples of procedural programming? Yeah, procedural programming or structural programming, both are same only. See, COBOL, Pascal, Fortran, C language, COBOL, Pascal, Fortran, C, not C++, C. These are all procedural languages only. Okay, these are all procedural languages only. These are all procedural languages only. Now, first, up to 70, the industry used to use this approach only for building an application. Guys, let me tell you. All of you might be learning C language now. All of you might be learning the C language. Now, you guys, you understand my point here. If you come from C language, in C language, a program is a collection of members, right? In C language, a program is a collection of variables and functions. Am I right? A program is a collection of variables and functions. If at all you write a program in C language, okay, what you write, you have some variables and functions. Variables and functions. Tell me one thing, guys. Can I call in general as a members, variables and functions? Can I call them in general as members? Can I call them members? Yeah, in general, what we call them as members of a program. Okay. Now tell me one thing. What is it? The functions that you define in the program will execute directly, or should I call them for execution? We need to call them. We need to call them. From where do we call? From where do we call? Main function, not main method. Main function, we call from main. Why from main? Why from main? Because main is the entry point. It is the entry point. It is the entry point for the C programmer or for all programming languages, sir? It is the entry point for C programmer for all programming languages, sir. Guys, for all programming languages. Basically, all the programming languages will be starting the execution from the main function only. Main is the entry point of a program. You take any language into consideration, main is the entry point of a program. Why, you know? Because, see guys, programming languages are developed by different companies. Programming languages are developed by different companies. Who run them? Operating system. Operating system. Operating systems are developed by different companies. Now, the problem is, if each programming language has a different entry point, how does the operating system know which program should be started from where? Did you understand my point? If every language has a different entry point, if every language has a different entry point, how do the operating system know, yaar, for which language, what is the entry point? Leave it here. I'll tell you in simple words. Say, you have a bike. See, there are so many bikes in the market. There are so many bikes in the market. There are so many bikes in the market. Bikes or scooters, whatever it is. To start a bike or a scooter, we have a start button now. To start a bike or a scooter, we have a start button. Where the start button will be present? Where the start button will be present? It will be present on the handlebar. It will be present on the handlebar. Right side or left side, but it will be present on the handlebar. For your bike, for all company bikes, all company bikes. See, guys, all companies have followed a standard now. What is that standard? Putting the start button on the handlebar. Suppose if each company puts the start button in a different place, if each company puts the start button in a different place, whenever guys, are you getting any disturbing sound? Jagan, disconnect and connect. Maybe problem from your side only. Jagan, disconnect and connect. Problem from your side. Okay. Now see, if each bike has a start button in a different place, whenever you drive a new bike, it will become a headache for you to find out where is the start button. You're required to roll. You're required to completely turn around the bike to find out where is the start button. Am I right or not? Exactly, yeah. If each programming language has a different entry point, is it not going to be tough for an operating system to identify where that entry point is present? That is what I said to you. That is the reason why all languages followed a uniform standard. What is the uniform standard? The standard is the entry point should be main only. So now see, operating system don't require to scan the whole program now. Operating system should search where the main function is there. And operating system will call the main function. When operating system call the main function, what will happen? Main will take the control now and it will call the other functions now. See, you will just find out where the start button, you will start, engine starts. And now the engine starts controlling all the things now, right? Same way, operating system will call the main function. Main function will start now, and main function will take the control, and it will be taking the responsibility of calling the other functions now. So this is exactly what happens to you. Okay, so basically a simple C program looks like this, guys. A simple C program looks like this. All of you watch it. This is a simple C program. You are a collection of members. What we have variables and functions, and either void main, and you call the members from here for execution. You're going to use the void main and call the members from your execution. Are you guys clear? Hello. Why are you people so lazy, guys? Generally, this problem I'll face in the morning batch. People will be sleeping every time I need to wake them up. And evening also, are you sleeping? Be active. Your 20s only, guys. Be active. Okay. So that's what. So, guys, this is how you write a program. But unfortunately, what is the drawback in procedural languages? Procedural languages are fine, but what is the drawback in the procedural languages? See, the drawback of procedural languages is they don't provide security and reusability. They don't provide security and reusability. Security and reusability are not available to you in the procedural programming languages. I repeat, security and reusability are not available to you in okay. So these two things, what two things? Security and reusability. These two things you will not be finding in procedural programming languages. Procedural programming languages, it doesn't provide you security, as well as procedural programming languages doesn't provide you reusability also. These are the two drawbacks what you will be finding in procedural languages. So that's why what happened to overcome this problem in 80s, to overcome this particular problem in the late 70s, or in the early 80s, in the late 70s or in the early 80s, a new approach in application development came into picture. A new approach in application development came into picture. What is the new approach? Object-oriented programming. Okay, what is the new approach? Object-oriented programming. Guys, I'll teach you object-oriented programming in detail. Mm, but guys, are you clear with procedural programming? Why do you want to see the taste before eating? Nayak, why do you want to know the taste before eating? Wait, I'll show you. What is the reusability? How it will be useful for us? All the things I'll show you. We came to programming now. We will be learning about all these things. Guys, I will teach you object-oriented programming in detail for you. But first today, I want to just first tell you what softwares to install. What software you have to install. Guys, mostly all of you, you're required to install a software, guys. Visual Studio. You're required to install a software, Visual Studio, guys. Okay? How to install, from where to install, I'll tell you. Go to Google and just simply say Visual Studio download. Visual Studio download. You will be going to the site Microsoft's Visual Studio. You'll be, or other way, directly go to this site. Directly go to the site. Visit the site. Okay, now? Guys, watch it. When you go to the site, you'll be finding Visual Studio 2019. Visual Studio 2019, version 16.10. Version 16.10. It is a 16.10 version. I already have Visual Studio installed on my computer. This is my Visual Studio. This is the 2019 only, the latest version. And if you observe, guys, if I go to my help menu here, yeah, in this you'll be finding a help menu. If you go to the help menu, in the help menu, it will tell you which version of the Visual Studio are we using. In the help menu, it will tell you which version of the Visual Studio are you using. Go with About Microsoft Visual Studio. My version is 16.9.5. My version is 16.9.5. And if you see the latest version, what you have is 16.10. 16.10. I regularly update here. I forgot to update. That's all. See, go to help menu and check for updates. Guys, watch, check for updates. I'll give you videos of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I will give you my videos of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Click on the update button. Yeah, guys, I'm updating. Current version is 16.9.5 and the latest version is 16.10. I'm just updating it. Okay, let it update. Let it update. Okay. Don't bother about that. Yeah, guys, open this. And after opening the site, you'll be finding up the Visual Studio. See, you'll be finding three options here, guys. All of you watch. Community, professional, enterprise. Community, professional, enterprise. And for you, the community edition, what you require to use is the community edition. Is a powerful IDE, free for students, open source contributors, and individual. Basically, this is designed free for students, guys. All of you, this is designed free for students. For students, this was designed free. So you can just use this free download. Okay, professional and enterprise edition, these are free trial, 90 days trial. After installing again, after 90 days, they will not work. So better just go for installing the community edition. That is enough to you. Okay, now just click on free download button under community edition. Yeah, guys, click on that. It will download you. It will download you the installer. Here you can see in the bottom, left-hand side bottom, you will see this is the installer, guys. This is the installer. Okay. This will download the installer, and you find it in downloads folder of your system. Where you'll be finding downloads folder of your system. Go to my computer and downloads folder. If you go to the downloads folder, you'll be finding this one. Okay. Double click on it to install. Your folder. Double click on the .exe file to launch the installer. You cannot upgrade, guys. You cannot upgrade like that. (2017) if you have, you can upgrade the 2017 version, that's all. But you cannot change to 2019. 2019 should be separately installed. Yeah, two different versions of the Visual Studio can be installed. Windows 7 is outdated operating system. First point you remember, Arpita. Windows 7 is outdated. There are no updates for Windows 7 now. Windows 7 will not work. Windows 8 will work, but I don't recommend because they will stop Windows 8 also in few days. Windows 8 also will be stopped off in few days. Better you go for Windows 10. Oh, guys, just a minute. Unnecessarily, unfortunately, I started this. Okay, I can put this in the pause mode, no problem. I can pause it. No, no, mine is an enterprise version. Mine is an enterprise version, guys. Just a second. Okay, watch. Sir, can we use SQL in ASP.NET? What is the anywhere you can use? Anywhere you can use. Enterprise edition, you're required to purchase it here. When you go to companies, you can use it. Maybe some features will be varying, but what is available here, that is enough to us. SQL Server can be used anywhere here. Professional and enterprise, you're required to purchase it. If you're ready to purchase, you can download them. They are used in the companies. For small scale companies, professional. For large scale companies, enterprise. This is free. Okay. Yeah. Now, see, file and launch the installer. This will launch the installer. No link like that. No link, guys. You can install whatever you want first. Now, guys, watch. Once the installer launches, all of you watch it. Once the installer launches, step 3. See step 3. Once the installer launches, it will be showing workloads option. And in that, select the following workloads. First one. Guys, look. The first workload is ASP.NET and web development. It will be showing you workloads. Can you see that? Workloads. What you will select? ASP.NET and web development. ASP.NET and web development. Second thing is Azure development. Third one, .NET desktop development. .NET desktop development. Next, so select ASP.NET web development, Azure development, .NET desktop development. All these are not required for you. Data storage and processing. Data storage and processing. We'll be hosting on cloud. We will be hosting our applications on the cloud. Visual Studio extension development. Visual Studio extension development. Okay, and the main importantly, .NET cross-platform development. .NET cross-platform development. This is very, very important here. .NET cross-platform development. This is the core. This is the .NET core. If you install this, only core will come. Why you bother about everything? What is the extension? Do you know what is the extension development, Saroj? Do you know what is the extension development? ASP.NET web development. Add-ons here, some commands and everything will come for you. Commands and all the things will come for you, some special commands and all. So totally 6 things: ASP.NET web development, Azure development, .NET desktop development, okay? And data storage and processing for connecting to SQL Server, Visual Studio extension development. Basically, it will include you some new commands, tool windows and all for that, okay? And .NET cross-platform development. These are the 6 options. Now, guys, look at here. Go to individual components. These are workloads. Go to individual components. In the individual components, guys, all of you, step 4. Now select. You will learn. No? Why are you worried about all these things here? You will learn now. What is required? Install it first. Install it first here. You will learn. Wait. Starting day of your food only. Don't try to eat a biryani. You will learn. Wait. Guys, now go to individual components. Now select individual components on the top, and in that we will find the option .NET, and below that we will find a set of checkboxes. Select all the checkboxes, ignoring out of support checkboxes. Guys, watch it. See the .NET 5 runtime, the latest. Okay. So select all these checkboxes here, except out of support. Leave the out of support checkboxes and select all the remaining checkboxes. These are the different versions of the frameworks. We are going to the different versions of the frameworks, guys. Select all of them. Okay, select all of them. All these things except ignore the out of support checkboxes and select all the things. Now go to language packages. Nothing about it. It will ask you in which language you want. It will provide you different languages. Default is English. You have Chinese, French, Japanese, Korean, different languages for writing the code. Okay, don't select anything. Installation location. By default, it will be installing for you on the C drive program files, so and so. If at all you wanted to change the location, you can change it. You can change the location according to your requirements and click on the install button. Click on the install button. Are you guys clear? Click on install button and install. Guys, copy this. I just posted up, copy that. Copy the process, guys. So go to the site and just install. Okay, all of you, make sure you just install them. Okay, how to update that, I'll tell you. See, someone asked the question, like already installed, how to update it. I will tell you how to update it. Yeah, Birla, I will tell you. You guys copied? These are different framework versions here. Because my system already has Visual Studio, it is showing only 6.6 GB. With other supporting libraries are already available. Vipul, already my system is installed with Visual Studio. Okay. Yeah, select Rakesh. Why you select all these things? They are the different framework versions. These are the different versions of the .NET. Out of support means they are not available now. That's why I selected, don't select them. Out of support, don't install. So these are all the available frameworks. When we are developing, I'll show you. Like we can choose the framework for building an application. Okay. Nothing here. You can install whatever you want. You can install whatever you want first. They don't have any relation at all. They don't have any relationship. What you need to install first. Just a minute. Yeah, uninstall and go for 2019. Or otherwise, install 2019, both will run. You install 2019, both will run. Okay? Yeah. See, if you want to update, guys, someone asked for updation, how to update. All of you watch this process. It's already installed 2019, but I don't know whether these features are selected or not. I want to update them. Okay, open the Visual Studio. After opening the Visual Studio, here you'll be finding an option, create a new project. Click on that. Create a new project. Click on that. Now after that, in the bottom here, if you scroll down in the bottom, you'll be finding if you scroll down completely to the bottom, you'll be finding install more tools and features. Install more tools and features. Click on that. Yeah, it opens you, and now you can just change your things now. See, on my system also, out of support options are not there. And you can see Ripple. With my settings, if you install it is 12.5 GB. Okay. Are you clear how to update? Okay. Check out the appropriate options. Check out the appropriate options and go for installing it. Okay, guys, I'm just winding up here. Tomorrow, I will teach you about object-oriented programming in detail. It goes to 25 GB. It'll go to 25 GB. Go to add, remove components and uninstall. Sharath, my suggestion is better you install of 2019 on that only. Don't uninstall. Don't uninstall. If at all you think of uninstalling, my suggestion will be formatting the C drive. Better format the C drive or otherwise install of 2019 on it. SQL and VB. What is VB? I did not understand. No, nothing. No error. No error. Nothing. There is no relation at all. Anywhere you can install. No problem. Okay. Okay, guys. Let me wind up here. So tomorrow I will start with Objectorium. Tomorrow I will just teach you the